The bold and the beautiful spoilers for the next 3 weeks, July 28th to August 15th, suggest that Brooke Logan will take Ridge Forrester from Taylor Hayes as Electra Forrester looks for a new career. Lee Finnegan will also face a tricky cover-up, so let's talk about what's next on B&B. The week of July 28th to August 1st will feature Sheila Sharp's wish for a goodbye with Luna Nozawa, but Lee will turn her down. Sheila will not get the opportunity to visit the body, and may receive excuses rather than information on Luna's urn or cemetery spot. Meanwhile, Lee will look after Luna as a hidden patient somewhere private. Luna will be shown to be alive on film, but she will be unconscious as Lee continues to nurse her back to health. As for Electra, she'll listen to Will's pitch and consider a new job as a fashion model. Brooke and Ridge will begin their time in Italy on a positive manner. There will be some boat ride bonding, but the mood will turn sour as Ridge attempts to prevent Brooke from spending time with Nick Marone after the fashion show. Brooke will decide she's had enough and stomp off. Nick will also have a yacht waiting for Brooke, so expect a marriage proposal and plenty of romantic moments. Brooke's journey will eventually take a catastrophic turn, so expect Ridge to save her following an accident. Brooke will face some terrifying situations during the week of August 4th to 8th, and she may end up drowning, but Ridge will save her in the end. This event will lead Ridge to realize Brooke is the only woman he wants to be with. Ridge will surely drop a kiss on Brooke, hoping he does not arrive too late. Even if Brooke puts up a struggle, we all know Ridge is the one she wants. Nick will be out of luck by the conclusion of the voyage and may have to sail alone. Ridge will face a difficult assignment between August 11th and 15th, as he must figure out how to give bad news to Taylor. How is Ridge going to inform Taylor that he is breaking off their engagement and reuniting with Brooke? Of course, there may be some attention surrounding Ridge's Brooke rescue, which will give Taylor a fair indication of where he stands. Whatever the case, Taylor is destined for heartbreak, and will realize she has been wasting her time with Ridge. As a result, Taylor may decide to end this dreadful habit, and accept that Ridge will never show her the dedication she deserves. Back with Luna, she may eventually regain consciousness and ask Lee. This could be Lee's time to express sympathy for Luna and declare she couldn't send her to prison again. Lee concealed Luna's survival, and will continue to blame Papi Nozawa for Luna's fate. As far as Lee is concerned, she will believe it is time to provide Luna with genuine assistance, as well as the opportunity to actually change. Meanwhile, Hope Logan and Daphne Rose's feud will ramp up, with Carter Walton at its heart. Carter will ultimately be drawn to Daphne, despite his best efforts to resist temptation. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, Daphne's presence will cause a slew of problems, so stay tuned for more on the bad news surrounding Hope and Carter's engagement. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for the week of July 28th reveal some unexpected twists. Fans should expect Lee Finnegan to throw Sheila Carter sharp. Brooke Logan winds up in a perilous scenario in Italy. Plus, Will Spencer encourages Electra Forrester to pursue a new job. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the CBS soap drama. Lee Finnegan's cruelty. Let's start with Lee, who said Luna Nozawa died following surgery. When Bridget Forrester exited the surgery room, Luna was fine and with Lee. Luna had vanished before anyone knew it. Nobody saw the body. Sheila inquired about a memorial service for Luna. Sheila was startled when the doctor told her that it had already been addressed. Sheila appears to be pleading with Lee to say her final goodbyes to Luna. But the nice doctor will say no. Brooke Logan was on a business trip in Italy for Forrester Creations when she crashed. Brooke is with Ridge and Eric Forrester. After the fashion presentation and interviews, Brooke will leave to spend time with Nick Marone. In a weekly preview clip, Nick asks a man on the street where he may find a boat. Brooke isn't with him and Nick appears desperate. Meanwhile, Brooke is aboard a boat with Ridge. Nick eventually gets a boat and chases Brooke. However, as she falls into the sea, who will be the hero? Electra Forrester's future. Back in Los Angeles, Will and Electra discuss the future. Not their future but Electra's at Forrester Creations. Will wants her to get into fashion modeling. However, Electra may be resistant because to her experiences with Remy Price. Remember, he obtained those photos of Electra by stating he wanted a model. Week of July 28, 2025. Steffi Forrester Finnegan may be saying her final goodbyes next week. The actress is preparing to birth her 5th kid. This time it appears that Steffi and the kids leave LA for a while. Daphne Rose will be unable to avoid Carter Walton again. So might Hope Logan wind up back with Liam? Meanwhile, Finn will continue to search for information about Liam's miracle. Bridget Forrester could assist Finn, and this could bring them closer together, so stay tuned. The anxiety at Forrester Creations peaked just as the sun rose over the Los Angeles cityscape. The air was filled with unspoken truths and lingering stares, among the most intense being those shared by Brooke Logan and Ridge Forrester. For years their love had been like a tale, punctuated by scenes of passion, betrayal and reunion. But today, something irreversible was about to happen. Taylor Hayes returned with confidence and determination. She believed the time had come for her family, which had been split for many years, to heal. She had Ridge back, or so she believed. His presence by her side, their shared memories, and the prospect of repairing their link all convinced her that Brooke was finally in the past. But Taylor underestimated Brooke's tenacity. Brooke was never the type of woman to yield softly, especially when it came to Ridge. Meanwhile, Lee Finnegan remained in the background, observing more than she indicated. Her attention was divided between her professional responsibilities and the deteriorating emotional landscape surrounding her. Her son Finn had only recently begun to recuperate from the stress of being assumed dead, and Lee had battled her own struggles to keep him safe. But suddenly her focus shifted to something far more complex: Luna Nozawa's reasons. Luna had recently joined the Forrester team as a brilliant new designer with a mystery past and questions she dared not ask. She had always sensed a strange disconnect with Lee, as if something in their common history had been purposely repressed. Lee's expression, which was both severe and unsure, increased her curiosity. Luna began to notice a pattern as she spent more time at Forrester, working with Hope and Thomas. Every time she tried to bring up anything slightly personal, particularly about her mother, Poppy, or her own upbringing, Lee shut it off. It was usually phrased as a concern for Luna's emotional well-being, but she was too intuitive to ignore it. She'd grown up negotiating silence, interpreting what wasn't said, and what she felt now was a neatly crafted barricade. But Luna was not the only one seeking clarity. Taylor was becoming very uneasy. Brooke had started surrounding Ridge more frequently, providing encouragement, dropping in unexpectedly, and revisiting old discussions tinged with flirting and familiarity. Ridge, divided between allegiance to Taylor and an unmistakable desire for Brooke, was beginning to falter. Every time he looked at Brooke, he was reminded of the many moments they had shared, good and bad, but never boring. Then came the grand event. Forrester Creations held a special showcase for their new collection, and every significant character in their entangled personal drama was present. Taylor donned a sleek silver dress, stylish and poised, and stood proudly beside Ridge. But across the room, Brooke shone in crimson, confident, dazzling and unstoppable. Eyes followed her not only because of her beauty, but also because of the power she exuded when she entered a room. It was undeniable. Brooke still had it. Ridge felt it too. As the night progressed, Luna, clad in her own custom Forrester gown, couldn't help but watch the drama unfold. While others hailed achievement, she was filled with doubt. Her glances at Lee were heavier and more intense. When she eventually cornered her near the terrace, Luna didn't pause. "Why do you always avoid questions about my father?" she inquired, her voice firm yet shaking. Lee tensed, her face a mask of calmness. "Because some questions don't need answers." "That's not good enough anymore," Luna said. "I deserve to know." Ridge found himself standing next to Brooke in the hallway immediately beyond the main gallery. Taylor had taken a little step back, and Brooke leaned forward, as if knowing the right moment. "You remember this hallway, don't you?" she muttered, her voice full of nostalgia and intent. He did. It was the same area they had a hot kiss after a fashion show years before. Memories assaulted him in waves. She brushed a hand down his arm, and for a brief moment, he let her. Then another. Then he turned. "Brooke, I can't." "You can," she interrupted softly. "You simply don't want to admit it. Not to Taylor. Not even to yourself." He said nothing. The silence was all she required. She bridged the gap between them and kissed him, tenderly at first, then with the full force of years of repressed passion. And he didn't pull away. He kissed her back. Taylor returned from across the room to discover Ridge vanished. She searched the throng and noticed Steffi speaking with Finn. No evidence of Ridge. A chill ran up her spine. She strode quickly down the hallway, her heels clicking like a metronome, measuring time before the destruction. And there they were, Ridge and Brooke locked in a kiss. Her breath caught. A chilly wrath swept through her. Of course, she muttered out loud. Ridge and Brooke drew apart, shame blazing on his face. Brooke straightened her dress unapologetically. I should have known, Taylor remarked, his tone stern. It was never really over between you two, was it? Taylor, it's not what you think, Ridge murmured softly, attempting to recover. It's exactly what I think, she exclaimed. You just proved it. Luna returned to the terrace and glared at Lee, who was attempting to walk away. But Luna obstructed her route. Is it true? Luna pressed. Is the reason you never talk about my father because you know who he is? Lee moaned, her facade breaking. I know more than I've let on, she said. But it's complicated. Try me. Lee looked aside, pained. Your mother did not want you to know. And I respected it. But perhaps I shouldn't have. Who is he? Luna demanded. Lee hesitated before responding. You may not be ready for that answer. Luna stood back, astonished. You know. You have always known. The storm inside her threatened to overflow, but she kept her cool. She had to. Everything was unraveling, and she had become a part of it. The remainder of the evening deteriorated into mayhem. Taylor departed abruptly, tears flowing down her cheeks, with Steffi after her and demanding an explanation from Ridge. Eric Forrester, who was still suffering from his own recent health scare, tried to settle things down, but even his powerful voice was drowned out by the waves of turmoil that swept through the family. Backstage, Hope confronted Brooke. Are you certain about this? What about Ridge? Brooke smiled slightly. I've always been certain. He simply forgot for a bit. Now he remembers. Hope was not convinced. Mom, this is not a fairy tale. You don't always have a happy ending. I don't need a perfect ending, Brooke explained. Just one that's real. Later that night, alone in her apartment, Luna looked at her reflection in the mirror. Everything seemed different today. What began as a desire for personal development and a profession in fashion had evolved into a search for identity. The visage in the mirror appeared familiar, but incomplete. Who was she really? And what did Lee know that she would not reveal? Meanwhile, Lee sat quietly at home, rehearsing her fight with Luna. She had held the secret for so long for the sake of protection, not malice. Or so she told herself. The truth was hazardous, possibly even scandalous. But now, with Luna digging and Brooke shattering Taylor's world once more, the fragile peace Lee had attempted to create was crumbling. The next morning, the consequences were immediate. Ridge came at Brooke's house with apologies and explanations, and she greeted him without hesitation. In contrast, Taylor hardened. She refused to be a woman who waited and hoped. She had done this before. She now chose herself. Steffi was upset with Ridge and told him, You don't get to hurt Mom again without consequences. You may have picked Brooke, but don't think the rest of us will forget. And Luna? She returned to Forrester with a renewed feeling of purpose. She wasn't only a designer anymore. She was a woman with a goal. The answers she needed were not going to come easily. If Lee refused to give them to Luna, she would go looking for them herself, whatever it takes. As Ridge and Brooke relished their restored passion, oblivious to the devastation they had left behind, Luna examined a package of old letters she had discovered stashed in her mother's things. Among them was a torn photograph. A man. Half of his face was missing due to the tear. The jawline looked familiar. What about the suit style? Forrester. Her heart raced. The past was not simply catching up. It crashed through the front door.